If your team fails, it's your fault. Sounds hard. It may be hard, but it's 100% truth. Owning the mistakes of your team is a game changer for your career, your results, and your authority. And today, I will show you why. Blame is very easy. We fail because Sarah did not book the meeting on time. We fail because Mike didn't do a good research. We fail because Pablo missed his deadlines. Pointing fingers and thinking we are perfect is very easy. Excuses are easy, but ownership, that's what separates average managers from amazing leaders. By the end of this video, I promise you, you'll know why blame is poison for team performance, how to raise team's performance, and how an ownership mindset shift will instantly elevate 10x your influence and results through 10 key lessons from the book Extreme Ownership. And by the way, I am Ruth, a leadership researcher. I've led teams incorporate like Intel Corporation, where my employees have returned more than $100 million in cash gains. And I have delivered these massive results by building high-performing teams and optimizing leadership strategies, all of which I teach you exactly how in this channel. So, subscribe. All right, the first lesson is you are responsible for everything. That is just freeing. If we stop being victims and we realize we are where we are because of ourselves, no one else, we become accountable from the actions that have led us where we are. Blaming the government, our boss, our children, our spouses, our parents for things that happen to us is very easy, but it won't change anything. So it's not valuable, it's just toxic. We want to take the wheel and drive to face our problems and change our behaviors. Let me take you back to a moment in my career about 12 years ago, the first time I had to lead a team in corporate, and I was the best performer. So I was just promoted to be the leader of the team. And my first reaction was that everyone was terrible at their job. According to me, right? Like I was like, they are so lazy, they are distracted, they are slow, they are unfocused, they're so unprofessional. According to me, right? My team had a terrible performance because they were terrible employees. They did not have fire in their belly, they were just bad professionals. Unfortunately, I was seeing a very extreme opposite, but this story makes it perfect for the example that I want to show you. I was comparing me, all perfect and dedicated in my mind, to them, lazy employees who did not know how to do things. Do you think that type of attitude would help me turn around things? Absolutely not. Complaining is easy and it's vicious, but taking ownership and accountability for our team's results is not easy. But that is what being a leader is about. Is your team failing? It's your fault. You are the leader. Go fix it. Is your team winning? You're a great leader. Maybe, but no one cares. Your team is the one who gets the recognition. And that, my friends, is one of the hardest things to be a leader. Of course, you get a better paycheck in most cases, and if you are the owner, even better. But when things go wrong, we must own it, act and resolve it. When things go well, we appreciate our team. You want to give them credit publicly, but behind doors, and when it's only you and them, only you and your team, we must make them accountable to get to the new levels of excellence we need. So, to be clearer, one of the worst things managers do is that when their teams are failing, they blame them, they blame the team, they blame circumstances, instead of analyzing what happened. Oh, Sarah did not schedule the meeting on time. That's bad. Ask her leader. I should have ensured she had clarity about the importance of the timing of the meeting and the consequences. Of course, we want to work with responsible, committed employees who are steps ahead the next move, but they are busy on their own duties. We as leaders must ensure the operation is running perfectly, that everyone has the knowledge, the skills, and tools to perform at the level of excellence required. So, back to my first time leading a team. Blaming the team's bad performance on the team was very easy, but that would never resolve things. That would never resolve the root cause. Alright, the next lesson is there are no bad teams, only bad leaders. Strong teams are made by strong leadership, not luck, not talent, but habits and standards. We are going to fail so many times. If we analyze the best athletes in history, those that are great and impressive, we will be surprised when we realize that more than 60% they try to make a goal or a score, they fail. And I'm talking about top tier like Michael Jordan's and Cristiano Ronaldo's type of great athletes. We will fail so many times. So every time that we make a mistake, it's a great opportunity to analyze what went wrong and how could we have done it better. And not just like an individual self-assessment exercise, but as a team as well. We want to make sure we detect our flaws as a team and that we focus on solving those gaps. Training gaps, maybe resource gaps, whatever it is, let's spot it and fix it. We want to make sure that failing has consequences for our employees too. Despite we're taking the blame, we're taking responsibility, we want to invest in our team's development and improvement. For example, let's say that we missed a forecast because the employee in charge of that output entered an incorrect calculation. Okay, so let's see the facts. The first thing would be, can the calculation be automated? If yes, let's automate it. If not, let's see what are the controls in place to ensure we are not relying only in one pair of eyes and one mind to send a very critical forecast to the market. Whatever happened, let's improve the process, analyze the root cause and implement solutions. Take ownership and make your team accountable privately. An example of making them and yourself accountable is setting that goal as a fail. But fails and failures are treasures because they are opportunities to learn and get better. By the way, remember to subscribe to learn more about the amazing leadership strategies I discovered in my leadership and communication research for leaders. Alright, the next lesson is check your ego at the door. Ego gets in the way of learning, listening, and leading. Let results matter more than being right. And I'm not talking about staying humble, forget about that. Be proud of your accomplishments, your charisma, and your results. But never be rude to people. Believing in yourself and not losing your conviction and your passion does not equal to being rude with others. We want to be open and listen to new ideas. And being wrong is amazing because that means that it's something that we should celebrate because it means we just realized we were doing something wrong and now we can change it. We will improve, which is always a good thing. That is a very common issue. Leaders tend to have big egos, unfortunately. Having a fancy title, maybe a fancy office, and a lot of people reporting to you, treating you like you were worthy of so much respect can get into your head. But that can poison your life. Being a leader is hard. You are supposed to be serving others, taking hard decisions, and ensuring everything is running perfectly while you're protecting the team, the operation, and the customer. That's why you're paid more, because you have more responsibility, a lot of people to take care for. Not because you're better than anyone else. And in order for us to ensure we're improving the business, the team, we must listen and involve the teams so they can ideate with us and bring the solutions we need to excel. Taking a team or company ahead is never a one-person job. Alright, the next strategy is cover and move, which means teamwork. Extreme ownership mindset is beyond us as leaders, but is a mindset the team must adopt in order for us to really adopt this type of efficiency. Meaning our team's members must support each other, not working on silos. The very common phrase, I won't do that because that's not my job, it's not acceptable in this type of leadership and mindset of extreme ownership. So to do so, we have to ensure that the group, the team, is very well connected with each other, understanding the end-to-end of each person. So we know as a team the strengths and duties of each other and ensure we are working as a team. And this is a very common situation that leaders should be coaching their team members on. Let's see an example. A treasury manager has, let's say, 2 employees, a trader and a back office analyst. The trader sold some government bonds to have more cash for a big operation that was happening that day in the company. Then, in theory, the back office analyst should come in to ensure the transaction is done with the banking partner. Each employee should understand each other's work to make things work smoothly. And we ensure everyone is well connected and understanding each other's responsibilities by teaching them and training them on the different roles and responsibilities that each of us have. So, the back office analyst, let's say, was too busy that day, and due to an emergency, they were not able to check the transaction if the funds were already in the bank. So you let the trader know, and the trader just check in the things because they understand the operation good enough for them to be able to review. Obviously, there are like sometimes conflict of interest in terms of accesses and things like that in the protocol that you may have in your company, but in the extent that you can teach everyone what's the roles and responsibilities, how the operation works, and they can cover each other, the better in these case of scenarios where you need to cover each other. And of course, what we don't want is that they say, oh my God, I don't know how to do that. That's something that always it has been done by Paul. You want to make sure that everyone knows things. And of course, respecting the boundaries that you may have due to security issues. All right, the next lesson is keep things simple. If your team doesn't understand the plan, it's not their fault, it's yours. Simplify everything. One of the most interesting parts of our jobs as leaders is to simplify complex ideas and make them easy to digest. Even the most complex plans, if we break them into pieces to explain them step by step, become easy to understand and comprehend. And that is one of the things that I love the most about being a manager. Every time that I know that I have to explain something to my employees or higher ups, that I know it can be very complex to understand, I get very excited because it's an opportunity to think and practice communication skills by transforming a very complex process into something simple for an outsider to get. And the best part is that when we are dissecting it, we may realize there may be redundancies or that the plan maybe can have some improvements. Maybe it's more complicated than necessary. And if you want to transform your leadership journey, reserve a spot in my free masterclass, How to Go from Overlooked and Overworked to High Impact Leader in 90 Days. Link in the video description. It will change your life and it is free. See you around in there. And if you want to work with me, link is in the video description. Okay. All right. The next lesson is prioritize and execute. Don't try to fix everything at once. Choose the most important problem and solve it first. A couple of years ago, I had a brilliant employee. He was so ambitious and wanted to deliver so much value. He had so much energy and said yes to everything. At first, I doubted he could do all of the things that he was committing himself to do, but I trusted him, and at the end of the quarter, he was not able to complete none of the tasks that he had assigned himself for. All were in progress because he was sure he could take more than he truly could. And of course, I failed by allowing him to take so much without being realistic. That's what managers should do, right? Like I should have protect his time and his focus so he would be able to know what to prioritize. But this is something that happens to me as well, often myself with things that I want to do. I think I can do so many things, and then in practice, I realize it's harder than I anticipated. And it takes me twice the effort of what I originally projected. And being aware of that common flaw that many of us have is why many leaders like to under-promise so they can over-deliver in results. That's a very nice tip. All right. The next lesson is decentralized command. Don't micromanage. Let others lead too. Everyone should know what the goal is and make decisions. And this is not only good for the business and employees' well-being. It's good for you too, so you don't bear a huge amount of responsibility and decisions just because you don't trust anyone. And a side note related to this is that I want you to know that employees' well-being is not only the good thing to do as a fellow human being, but it's the right thing for profits and business too. Happy employees equals to happy customers. Happy customers equal to more revenue through referrals and more sales. Treating our employees with respect, helping them grow, it's not only good as humans and as a society, but for the business too. Alright, so I recently worked with a manager, back to the example of this lesson, who was so dedicated to his job. He was obsessed, like truly obsessed, loved his job and worked 80 hours per week. How was that possible? I don't know. Americans love to work and stay busy for the sake of being busy. And every time we were in a meeting, he was complaining of how many meetings he had, of how little time he had. But then he did not allow any of his team members to take any decisions on calls without him being there. Well, he kind of allowed them, but then he was completely unsatisfied with the decision they took. And the decisions were small and inconsequential in the big picture, in the big scheme of things, but in his mind, they were very critical decisions only he could take. Of course, he burned out, and of course, his team was feeling drowned with his lack of trust. I know delegating is hard when we don't trust our people, and that is why the first step is hiring well and training the talent so they can work without you having to be there monitoring every single move. That is just not sustainable for you nor for the business. Alright, the next lesson is plan before you act. Success happens before the action, in the planning, the preparation, and the communication. I love that story of a logger saying that if he got 4 hours to cut a tree, he would take 90% of that time sharpen the axe. Think on how to do things, the best path to get to our goals, analyze the best steps, team, and resources available to get to the best result as we can. That preparation is just foundational. The pitch to get the approval, the design of all the work that you will have to do will make sure that things go smoothly. And this is not an invite to think things so much that you never are fully prepared and never do the first move, but to think of the best steps to get the results and communicate them with the team so you all go toward the same direction and improve the plan together. Alright, the next lesson is lead up and down the chain of command. Don't just lead your team, help your boss win too, and explain decisions both ways. And this reminds me of the 49 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. But you want to make sure your boss is winning too. Same as with your customers. We are never robbing our customers. We want them to win. If they win, we win. If our customers win, we win. If our employees win, we win. We must look for the win-win solutions where everyone is having a great deal. And of course, it's not only about explaining the details to our team, but engaging with our boss. So our boss knows the plan, they get the genius, the passion, and the commitment you and your team bring. You want to get everyone excited with all the value you and your team will provide, and get the insights from your boss in the way. Alright, the final lesson of the book is discipline equals freedom. So having discipline is very hard, but we just have to create habits. So when we are not motivated, we just follow our good habits, and that will give us freedom and time back. Sounds weird, but it's true. The more organized and consistent we are, the more freedom we have to grow and innovate. For example, I recently worked with an operations manager who was really exhausted of all the time it was taking her to do her job. Coaching, having one-on-ones, attending to all the meetings. And she was feeling like she was not offering a real value because she was so busy with other things all the time. So we analyzed her accomplishments and realized that the highest value she was able to deliver for her organization was the recommendations and the projects she did through her team. Thus, we reserved in her calendar 3 hours per day of zero interruptions for her to deep dive on analysis, news, and research so she could create top-notch recommendations. We had to adjust one-on-one's frequency with her people, delegate a few minor activities, and rely on more dashboards and online trackers instead of having that many meetings. After just 3 weeks of these 3 hours of daily research, focus, and time to think and analyze, she received 5 compliments from other leaders of how articulate she was showing up and how deep and valuable her acumen has become. Her ideas and proposals became gold because she was aware of so many things, and senior leadership wanted that she and her team to take the lead on those initiatives. Alright, those were the 10 lessons of the book. Let's recap. You are responsible for everything. There are no bad teams, only bad leaders. Check your ego at the door. Cover and move, meaning teamwork. Keep things simple. Prioritize and execute. Decentralize command. Delegate. Plan before you act. Prepare. Lead up and down the chain of command. And discipline or habits equals freedom. If you want to transform your leadership journey, reserve a spot in my free masterclass, How to Go from Overlooked and Overworked to High Impact Leader in just 90 days. Links in the video description. It will change your life and it is free. See you around. If you want to work with me, links in the video description as well. Lots of love. See you around. Bye.